How's it going, folks? My name's Nick. My co-star Otto is somewhere behind me, the garden cat, and this is the Seattle Permaculture vlog. So you can see I have a little bit of a injury here. I actually sliced my finger when I was butchering a chicken last week. So you know, it was a very, very sharp knife, and the cut was actually super clean. So I actually ended up getting away with not having to get stitches, even though it's pretty deep. So we just have a couple butterfly bandages on there holding the skin together, and it's healing up nicely. So this is day, I think, 3 of the injury. So I'm still kind of taking it easy. I'm not trying to do any sort of dirty work really. So today's going to be mostly a garden update. I'm just going to show you around, see what's going on in our backyard, here on my little backyard permaculture homestead. And we'll kind of see what we can get up to, and just kind of give you an update of overall what's going on here. So let's just get started, and we're going to start with the chickens. So I lied, we're not going to start with the chickens. We're going to start with the rain gauge. So last night we had a really deep rain. I was out in our little garage area listening to it for a while. So we got just under ½ an inch of rain, almost 12 mil, and that's quite a bit. And that was pretty much all dumped. Maybe not all, but I'd say the majority of all that was dumped in about, you know, within an hour of each other. There's a big downpour, a little bit of a pause, and there's another big downpour. So a lot of rain really quickly. So we got about half of the rain that we need per week in one day here, and that's great because we've actually been in somewhat of a drought. So it's actually great to get a lot of rain, and we've actually been getting quite a bit of rain in where we are the past few days. I think in total we probably had at least an inch over the past maybe 4 or 5 days, so that's a good thing. Here on the island of Puerto Rico, when they start going into droughts and the reservoirs start depleting, they actually have to shut off water from time to time. So they'll actually go into rationing mode, where you'll have water for a day and then not for a day, and then basically it's on and off. That's one way of doing that, to do it. Luckily where we are, we're kind of in a pretty wet spot, so we're probably the least likely to have our water shut off, but still, if everything keeps going the way it goes in the rest of Puerto Rico, then we'll likely have that just as well. All right, getting the chicken feed. I'm the kind of person, guys, that if I have this anywhere near where I'm working, I will hit it. So that's why I'm keeping it raised. Hard for me not to be able to just use my hands. It's quite frustrating. All right, here we go. Me with all these things again, trying to get through the door. We did this the other day. Let's see if I can do any better today. Here's the rooster waiting for me. All right, a little bit better. A little bit better of an opening with full hands. So if you guys look down here right now, I need to add bedding. I need to add mulch. This is not acceptable in my mind. Last Thursday, Thursday I think, I actually went to go get some hay from our supplier here, and they just didn't have any. So, and then I got my finger cut, so everything's kind of been on pause. But it's the nice thing about this is, you know, it's not ideal. I would really like to have more bedding in here, but the fact that I don't, it's not the end of the world. You know, it's still okay. It's not like everything's gonna stop functioning in here for a few days because of it. All right, so I'm gonna put their food in. Hey, mama. No, we stay up here. Otto the garden cat contemplating a jump over to the nest box. Can he make it? Yes, he can. Good boy. Good boy. He loves to play up here. So this is the garden cat. Don't hit my finger, please. Good boy. Oh, of course. And the rooster within about 3 minutes of this food being in here, it's already knocked it over. Thanks, rooster. Ow. And then this is the mama hen, who is quite aggressive these days. You can see she's attacking me. She gets this idea that I'm going to hurt her chicks. I don't really know where, because all I'm doing is bringing her food here. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. So this is my compost pile. It's more of a long, flat, or not really flat, but long mounded pile of organic material at this point. I turned this on Friday, so it's been 3 days, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now Monday, so 3 days, and they have completely spread it all out. So it was just an actual pile right where the rooster's standing, right where the thermometer is, and now it's everywhere down here. So, and you can see here, if we're looking at the temperature, it's at 120, so it's active, but it's no longer hot, or what's considered hot compost. So this is no longer a hot compost, it's now going into the next phase of maturity. And now this phase here is when the fungi are going to take over. So the fungal growth takes a little bit longer than that bacterial reproduction to happen. So at this point, the fungi is going to start colonizing everything in here, and that's exactly what I want. So with the system I have at this point, now that everything's gone to the center and everything's made it to the center of the pile and is heated up in the center of the pile, I am basically now going to allow the chickens to have at it. And then once a week, I'm just going to repile the pile. So I'll probably repile this basically whenever my finger heals to the point where I can actually do things, that's when I'm going to repile it. But it's probably going to end up being maybe Thursday, between Wednesday and Saturday. Let's just say that. That gives me a nice big broad amount of time that I can actually do it. And that'll be plenty of time for them to have worked through it. They're already working through it quite well. You can see all 3 chicks down there. By the way, I didn't actually mention this. If you're just watching this for a while to get a garden update and get a homestead update here. Yeah, we have 3 chicks. And Mama, it's a very fierce guardian of those chicks. She really does not want me getting anywhere close to them. If she can have it. But basically I have to right now get them, they can't get up here yet. They don't know how to get up this ramp quite yet. They're not quite old enough. Give it another week or 2. They'll probably be able to figure it out themselves. But at this point they can't get up there. So every night I need to lift them up to up there so they can get to their nest, into their nest box. And so Mama, of course, freaks out. So I usually put Mama in first and I start putting her chicks in. But every time I open the door to put another chick in, she starts attacking my hands. So it's nice right now. They're getting a little drink. So I don't usually use this water system, this kind of water system anymore, because it gets really dirty. It's already dirty. I just put it out here. But the chicks can drink from it. The chicks have not quite figured out how to use this nipple system, where they basically peck at that little metal nipple in here, and that lets the water out. That's a much cleaner way to do it, and that's my preferred way, but the chicks can't learn that quite yet. I'm sure they could learn it, but maybe not strong enough to actually poke it. So that's what's going on with the chickens, and that's the chicken system. So this is my chicken compost system. Right now we have a huge amount of compost being processed at the bottom here, and when I do turn it, it'll basically be turned uphill, so that as they turn it, it'll go down again, and then I'll turn it uphill again, and it'll just kind of keep going until it is ready and prepared compost, probably in about 2 to 3 weeks. And you can do compost faster. If you didn't see my how to make a compost video, I'll leave that link above here. And then after that, there's also how to turn a compost pile and when to turn, just so in case you're getting just started in compost, watch that first video, how to basically build a compost pile. And then if you get past that and you're wondering what to do next or when to turn it, then check out the next video, which I'll link now, which is how to turn a compost pile, or when to turn a compost pile. Really important stuff, really easy. All this stuff is really easy, guys. Anyone can learn this. So don't be overwhelmed by compost. It's not that complicated. Once you know the basics and once you kind of get things going, you'll figure it out and you'll be able to do it all on your own. Otto is supervising on top of the nest box here while Mama is laying. So Mama's actually right below him. So these guys are, I guess, getting along. The cat and the hen getting along. All right, so that's the chicken update, and they're doing just swell. So fun to have baby chicks on the property. Just gives us something to look at and hear their little peeps all day. It's pretty fun. All right, so we're gonna look up here. So we're gonna start up here. So this is where I had a little mound of watermelon. It's no longer there. So this is just kind of being retaken by all of the overgrowth. But I do have this katuk right here that's finally starting to leaf out nicely. So this is katuk. I think it's also called sweet leaf by a lot of people. And all these leaves are edible. And it's kind of a nutty flavored leaf, and really great to add into kind of salads and everything for a little bit of that nutty flavor. I like to eat it just raw as I'm walking around. Let's eat some. It's a great perennial green in the tropics. Works really well. We have a lizard just jumped off of this papaya that is not looking so happy, guys. This one does not look so well. And this one and that one were both transplanted. And what I find here personally is that transplanted papayas never do as well as direct seeded papayas. Just my experience so far. I don't know if that's always true, but just something to keep in mind if you are trying to start papayas at any point. This pineapple doing quite well underneath. We have another katuk going over here, and you can see this one's really starting to boom out. These guys I put in as cuttings, so I just shoved them in the ground, and probably about 3 or 4 months ago. So this guy's really starting to take off. He's now probably 3 or 4 feet tall. This is the top of him right here. And this is great because this is going to be a perennial source of greens for me that we can use, and it doesn't mind that little bit of part shade right underneath this banana tree. This bed finally starting to actually produce what we're aiming to produce, which is green pepper. Really, these are orange bell peppers, but we could pick them green. Here's one here, 2, 3 on. I think there's one over here. Yep, 4 here, 5 just starting up there. Don't see any on here yet. Oh, there's a little baby one, 6. So we got quite a bit of green pepper on, which is pretty exciting. We're looking forward to that. I just cleaned up this bed last week. I'll leave that video linked above if you want to check it out. But yeah, so the arugula down here, this is all direct seeded and it's doing quite well. I forget when I did that, but if I have a link for it, I'll leave it. And then the arugula back there, those have been here much longer. So you might notice that these were direct seeded and put right here. These guys were transplanted quite a while back. Now these guys get less sun because they're underneath all this canopy of banana and papaya, but they're actually not growing nearly as fast as the ones that have much more sun. So arugula can take part shade, but it grows a little slower in part shade. So, and I have been harvesting from that back arugula, so that's another reason why it's a little bit smaller. Now Otto's over here watching me. You'll notice that Otto's always following me around everywhere. Into our zinnia bed, this is our bees and butterfly attractor plant area. There's so many buds on, so this thing's about to bloom. We've harvested from this for just cut flowers for Katie's office area quite a few times already, and they're still booming. So pretty happy with these guys and this growth. And then right here is actually an avocado tree. It's doing really well. It's now about 4.5, 5 feet tall. It's maybe almost 2 meters, not quite 2 meters, but almost 2 meters tall at this point. So pretty happy with that. I gave this bed up here a cleaning and then cut back all this New Zealand spinach, not all of it, but a lot of it. Careful, Nick, I have a hurt finger. This is what I'll do. I'll just start using my hand and I get hurt again. But I cut a lot of these New Zealand spinach vines back to see if it would re-sprout. And I just did that last week, so I don't actually expect to see anything quite yet. But I'm just noticing now that my comfrey is flowering. Check that out. So I believe this is the Bocking 14 variety, which is a sterile variety, so it will flower but not produce seed. But yeah, this is comfrey. This is like nice dark green leafy leaf plant here. And once it starts flowering, I know its root system is pretty well established, and so I can actually, if I wanted to, dig that up and separate the roots, and you can just snap off. It's kind of like a carrot root almost, a little softer than a carrot root, and you can just kind of dig it up and or cut it right in half, pull up everything, take the roots and just cut them into 1-inch pieces and shove them in the ground. As long as it stays somewhat moist, it's going to grow you a new comfrey. It's an amazing plant to you can have one of and then propagate outwards, and then within a year or two you're going to have as many of those plants as you want. Really great along edges of your edges of gardens or something like that. Great for mulch, great for it's fodder. It's good feed for your animals. Very high in minerals. It's also medicinal if you want to figure out how to use it. I've yet to figure out how to use it. I know the root you can make into a tea, and it's really medicinal. And I believe you can also eat the leaves, but I've yet to try that. All right, tomato bed is still producing. This tomato bed I thought was going to be completely gone about a month ago. I was like, oh, okay, well that's it. So I started actually planting some beans underneath it. So you can see the beans are now occupying the space below that's opened up since I pruned it. So I gave it a massive prune a while back. I'll leave that video linked above if you guys are interested in checking it out. But big massive prune, but it is still producing. This thing produces, we harvest tomatoes every week, easily every week, probably a nice little basket full of tomatoes, and they just keep on producing. So we're pretty happy with this variety. This is the chocolate pear variety, mostly these smaller ones. So this one right here, this is the chocolate pear is what it's called, or at least that's what I planted. But I often find here with the topsoil that we usually get, there's often small little kind of bush tomato seeds in there, so it could be a different variety. All right, looking down this bed here, which is right along our pathway. So our jalapenos are doing well. I harvested 4 or 5 jalapenos from this already. They're actually pretty tall, and I'm seeing now they're starting to produce more flowers over here, but I actually there's a pretty big pause in production for a while, so I'm not actually sure what's going on here. My buddy Jeff, who lives just around on another ridge just over there, he got these local jalapenos, and they're like huge, and they're just producing and producing, so I gotta get some seeds from him. We hung out with them the other day, but I forgot to bring home the seeds. Other than that, the kales are doing just fine. You know, these guys have been small all the time, so this must not be the right kind of variety for here. I gotta look into that a little bit more, but it does produce. We are harvesting from it, so you know, no biggie. I'd like it to be a little bit bigger. This is, I believe, a komatsuna that I seeded, direct seeded, and it's the only one that took here, so I'm hopefully gonna let that go to seed and then keep those seeds and use that for the garden. This right here, these are all of our chives that are starting to grow and actually seem like they're kind of mature plants, so we can probably start harvesting from this soon. And I got to clean up this bed, so you can see there's this big bulky mulch that I put down quite a while ago, and it's still here, so it's really helping keep my soil moist and keep the weed pressure down when I'm a little bit lazy and don't get into, you know, coming through and weeding all this excess growth that's trying to come in and attack. So this is a bed I have not yet gotten to, and I was hoping to get to this week or this weekend, but this little finger thing got in the way of that. But that's okay. We're still going to be all right. It's still going to be producing for us. No big deal. So many papaya trees, and so far I see mostly males. I think there's one female back here. Thought it was up there near the bed, but yeah, I keep fingers crossed. Keep having my fingers crossed for more female papaya trees, because we want papayas, not just male papaya flowers, you know. It's told that if you have a male plant, you can cut it back and it'll resprout as a female, and that's because papayas are hermaphroditic. Some papayas, they can be male, female, or hermaphroditic. So I believe if they are hermaphroditic and you cut them back, then they could resprout and show and can basically express the female side of them. So I think that's the reason why. I've yet to prove that, but up at Hacienda Rosa, where I help manage up there, I guess they have done it and have cut a tree back that was a male and gotten a female from it. So I personally have not seen it happen, so I'm not going to say that I guarantee that, but I have been told it happens by most of the locals around here, and they say upstairs that they've done it themselves. So you can try it. If you have a male papaya tree, try to cut it back, give it a nice hard prune, see if it comes back as a female. And if it doesn't, it's probably just a male, only has the male genetics in it. Sweet potatoes, my guess is these guys are almost ready for harvest. I haven't seen any flowers yet, but just based on the timing of when we put these in, these guys are probably almost ready for harvest. So that'll probably be something we start thinking about soon. Luckily, we're in hurricane season, so hopefully, you know, if a hurricane does hit, then we can have some sweet potatoes waiting for us. Once again, Otto just hanging out right near us, making sure he's ready to help us with whatever help we need. This bed, we have this one lonely watermelon. These guys are just not getting enough light, and it's just because I have not gotten in here and cleaned up. So that's my fault. Sorry, watermelon. That's my bad. So it's kind of a sad day, because I'd really love to have some more watermelon, but you know, that's life. You try things. I try to hear it as a ground cover. It's just clearly not getting enough light, and there's too much overgrowth, and it happens, you know. So that's life. But hopefully that one watermelon will make it. We'll see. These cucumbers are doing really well. You can see we got a nice big one growing there. There's another one in here somewhere. Yep, there's one there. Nice big one right here, pretty much ready for harvest. There's a bunch down below that I need to pick off, because they're just at this point, they're growing but not too much, so it's time to take those off the vine. So a bunch of flowers, bunch of new growth coming. It does look like I'm getting eaten, and I'm noticing that these bugs, he flew away. There's one type of bug, looks kind of like a stink bug. They're often here. And some of these cuts that I did, those are me, but I think that some bugs are starting to come by here and eat some too. Oh, there's one right there, small little one, weird shaped one. So yeah, these guys are doing quite well. Happy with them. Bunch of babies still. We've harvested already. Hey, that's not a scratching post. That's a papaya tree. This cat was using the papaya right here is a scratching post. Maybe that's why we're getting all males. This one is a male, by the way. So there's a little baby male flowers coming on. So I'm kind of hoping that I'll let that go a little bit longer, but I want a papaya right where this tree is because it's right above this rock, which will help keep this rock a little bit cooler from the sun beating down on it. So I'm just kind of hoping that it'll keep going, and then I'll cut it back if I need to. I cannot seem to get these zucchinis to stay on. So there's one right there with the flower on. So that flower at the end there needs to stay on until it's done developing. And either the flowers keep getting knocked off or the pollination's got, I'm getting that end rot. So I'm getting a lot of what they call blossom end rot, which typically means I'm not getting enough pollination. But I have so many pollinators here that just, it kind of astounds me. But it is really wet and humid here, so it might be that the pollen is just really sticky, so it's not quite pollinating properly. Do you see this cat? This cat is just walking into this pool, which is semi-full because of the rain. It's probably maybe half-inch full, basically however much rain we got last night, that's how full it is. And he's just in here drinking. You look, his paws fully in. What are you doing in there? You getting some water? You like that? This cat, perfectly fine with water. Look at him. Oh yeah, I'll just go right in there. Oh, it's wet. What are you doing, bud? Silly cat, very distracting to me, but we'll get back to this. So, yeah, zucchini end rot, that's kind of what I'm dealing with here. But I'm just kind of keep giving it time. I will start to hand pollinate if I absolutely have to, but I really would prefer not to. I'd rather let all the pollinators do that work for me. So we'll see where we go. All these peppers that we transplanted a while back, they're all starting to grow and get up to size, so I'm pretty happy about that. They're actually making it. There's a couple melons down here that I transplanted that I thought were not going to do well because they were just left way too long in the greenhouse, but they're actually starting to grow and produce flowers, so we'll see. But the main melon story is that we put up this trellis last week. I'll leave that video linked above if I have any more spaces to do that. We added this little trellis up here to let these melons not grow all over the peppers here that I have. These kind of green chili peppers, or red as well. When they mature, they start to turn red. And yeah, these guys are doing really well. So many flowers on them, so we'll see if we get any melons growing. But I'm hoping that with that trellis there, I'm going to be able to keep them up off the ground, and maybe they'll actually produce for us. And I'm trying to train these guys over here to go up this papaya tree here, just to see if that'll work for us. So yeah, it's a fun little story. They're growing really well and quite quickly. So we'll see if they actually make it to fruition, actually give us some melons. So I think that's all the upper beds now. I'm just going to head down here. So since I haven't actually been letting the chickens out much since the chicks were born, just because when I'm out here, and I just want to make sure I'm around when I let them out, because Otto, who is very interested in everything that's happening around here, he is very excited about the chicks. So I just worry a little bit, and usually, so I basically need to make sure he's in when I let them out, and then I have to be around. So I haven't been letting them out as much, so they haven't actually gotten down here, but I did add a little bit of some dust into their pen there, so they have a little dust bath in there. So it's not like they're not getting a dust bath. So this area down here, the plantains are doing well. I'm going to take off this little vine so it doesn't keep this leaf closed. And this is pretty much the maintenance that's always occurring here in the tropics, keeping the vines off of everything, including the fence line. Although I do use all these vines along my fence as my compost material. There's this calabasa I saved and put up on the fence here. It's still flowering. I believe this is a male though, so I don't think we're actually going to get any fruit from it, but it's kind of fun to see them. It's kind of clambering up and along the fence here. It kind of just climbed over from over there, so it's rooted somewhere on that side of the fence, so I don't really know where. But anyway, back to this. These plantains doing great, looking really happy and healthy. And the vines are going up them again here. Just gonna pull that off real quick. Here's the greenhouse down here, not in use right now, so I just put it kind of far down towards the bottom of the property. And yeah, so down here, this pasture is looking great. It is, the nice thing about not having let the chickens out here for a while is actually this area has been able to kind of recover a little bit without having the chickens on there. And that's always good to do every once in a while. If you do have a pasture, just let it rest. It's good to let your pasture rest for a while, kind of regrow everything fully, and then let the chickens back on, or whatever you're grazing back on. This area here has not quite recovered quite yet, but it is getting a little bit better. It is starting to get some more growth again. And this area just keeps on getting trampled and scratched by the chickens because they kick out the compost from right there. And it comes down here, and that covers up the grass, and then it just kind of gets worse and worse down here. But you know, this is just something I live with for the time being. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the level that the soil usually is at there, and all this on top is that compost pile. So it's quite a bit of material here that these guys are kicking around, and they're quite happy. Mama and chicks have been loving going through this compost pile. And I actually think the chicks are going to learn how to forage, and they're going to be quite strong because they're getting all the good stuff, all the little actual critters that they like to eat instead of just grain or something like that. So I think these chickens are going to be really good. Plus they're getting, right from a baby's age, right from when they were born, they're working on a compost pile, and that's what I want my chickens to be doing. So I timed it perfectly, and really it wasn't me timing, it was just the amount of growth and the amount of bedding that I have. But the fact that I have a compost pile going right when we got baby chicks started, it's really a benefit for me in this system, because these chicks are just getting used to it. Plus the heat of the pile, when it was hot at least, the chicks would just go right to the top of the pile and sit there and just take in the heat of the pile. So it's like a little mini incubator giving mama a break. You can see that one chick right behind mama. She's just sitting on the pile, enjoying. Probably a little bit of heat coming up. Right in the center of the pile there, it's still 120 degrees, so it's still quite warm down there. So I'm sure some heat is getting up there for them. All right, guys, yeah, that's it for today. Just a little kind of homestead update, garden update. Show you guys what's going on. I think it's been about a month since I've done one of these, so it's probably appropriate that I do it now. And yeah, everything is going really well. We got babies, we got compost. I do have a little bit of a bad finger at the moment, but that's okay. That goes away pretty quickly once it heals, and then we'll be back to normal. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. If you do like what I'm doing, please subscribe. Please consider subscribing and sharing this channel with some like-minded people or communities that might find it useful, especially the compost videos. I'd really love to get those out and about, because there's a lot of people out there that don't really know how to start composting, and I would love my videos to be able to help them. So if you happen to know anybody who is looking to start composting or anything like that, please share my video on how to start a compost pile or how to turn a compost pile. That'll really help me get a little bit more reach and get those videos that I really care about out there into the public more. I just watched one of the chicks just jumped on top of mama. She just jumped back down, but one of the baby chicks just jumped on top of mama, and it was very, very funny to watch. Sorry, distracted there. Please do share those videos if you do find them useful for you, or useful at all. That'd be really helpful for me. And yeah, I guess until next time, have a good one. Chick going for a ride. I'm almost back.